And here, let me provide a little bonus. I'd like to present what I regard as being maybe a list. It's very hard to do ranking lists of your favorite films. And that's certainly the case for the films that are found in this box set, Chantal Akerman Masterpieces 1968 to 1978. But I have tried to make a list of my favorites in this set. Again, according to my own subjective taste, how I feel about them, and my list could change depending on when you asked me. But as of right now, if you're interested, here is my list here's my ranking of the films in order of how I feel in terms of my favorites from this box set. So there are 9 feature films. So I'll speak about the feature films here. I won't speak about anything about the supplements, such as the work, the sort of is regarded as being unfinished work about hanging out Yonkers, etc. So I won't include that, but I'll include the films, the films that are featured here, whether they be feature film length or short film works, etc. But I'll include all of these works here. So coming at number 9 is Le 15 this is a work which, again, it's at number 9, but that does not mean in at all that I consider it a bad film. I think it's really fascinating and really, really quite deep, and also very mysterious in a lot of ways. And also, it operates so well on its own, as well as being a wonderful echo of a number of things that we've seen prior to Le 15, and also things that we will see subsequent to. But I have it at number 9. So. Le 15 is at number 9. And number 8, we have L'Enfant aimé, ou Je joue à être une femme mariée. So this is the work which is the second film that is found in the context of the set, and I love the way that there's the interaction between the people that we see in the work, including, of course, Chantal Akerman. There's also the way in which we see her respond, and we see the characters respond to themselves and also to the camera, and also discussions about marriage and sex, and discussions between mother and the young child, and also scenes in the house. So there's a scene in the kitchen. There's also some scenes outside the house, and interactions between and among the people. So this has a wonderful way of touching upon cross-generational relationships, the interaction between people and spaces, discussions of maybe domesticity, and also speaking and listening, and also the idea of performance and acting as well, and also considerations of one's own body and physical appearance in the context of one's identity, one's attitudes and desires and feelings and frustrations about sex and sexuality, etc. So really key work, a very key work, and you can also feel that there is so much space that is already being presented here in this film, and also the promise of things to come beyond this work. So again, it's at number 8, but I don't. That doesn't mean I disparage it in the slightest, but it just happens to be at number 8. So this is L'Enfant aimé, ou Je joue à être une femme mariée. So a really brilliant work at number 8. And at number 7, we have Saute ma vie. And Saute ma vie is a really key work, and also featuring Chantal Akerman, and the wonderful blend of comedy and maybe anti-comedy, and the wonderful blend of humor and violence, and also the sort of satirical look at maybe a critique of social mores and quote-unquote traditional expected norms, end quote. Having to do with generations, and also having to do with settings and formalized settings, and maybe considerations of gender positions and marriage, etc. And one's reaction to that, or counterclaims against that, etc. In the form of Chantal Akerman's own performance here. So I think it's very irreverent and very shining, and is also quite biting and very satirical and quite vicious in a lot of ways too. So and very clever indeed. So my number 7 pick is Saute ma vie, and then number 6 is Hotel Monterey. And I love this work because, again, the focus on the space and the hallways and corridors, and the further sort of conceit or hypothesis about the nature of uh, um, the nature of the interaction of space and time and the city. And this is a very important New York film. And elevator shots, and people are maybe seeing the camera there and maybe hesitant to come onto the elevator, and they want to wait for the next one, or crowded elevators, and people in the hallway, and people caught within the doorway of a particular shot or a particular room, etc., and the interior scenes and then the exterior scenes of the city that are very bold and dynamic. You can tell that there's a real love of the city here, and also a love of time and space, which is, again, very key thing when it comes to Akerman's work. So here, my number 6 is Hotel Monterey. And then number 5, speaking of the city, this is another key New York film. It comes in a little bit later in the filmography, but this is News from Home. This is the second to last film in the order of films in the set. And this is fascinating too. Not only do you get scenes of New York, we are now outside. We have shots of the exteriors. So in many ways, it could be a kind of spiritual sequel to Hotel Monterey. Hotel Monterey being the film mostly inside. And now we have a film, News from Home, mostly outside, although there are also shots of the inside of the subway and also the subway stations, etc. But it feels like there's different spaces, different various environments that are explored or observed here. But that's only part of the equation, as we know, because we also hear over the soundtrack the words of the letters from Natalia Akerman to her daughter Chantal Akerman, which are real letters, but that are here for the purpose of the film, read aloud by Chantal Akerman. So there is a way that one can be invited to consider the connect or disconnect between what is being read and what is being seen, and that could also be a statement for something about isolation and exile. It also could be a statement about the importance of words, or the need to have the words recede in favor of some other sound, etc. So it's very playful in that way. It's also very personal in that way. So I have this at number 5. It's another fascinating work, which is News from Home. And then number 4, I have the work which is La Chambre. I love this film very much because I love how it's very suspenseful, and it's very cheeky and very funny. And it's so funny in terms of what we are we are almost programmed to expect upon one pass of the camera, and then maybe our expectations might suddenly be dashed because of some sudden change that happens. That is so very subtle, but still, it is mind-shattering in the context of La Chambre, as well as inviting us to check all the details, and then almost holding our breath to figure out what's going to happen next. Is this table going to be the same? How come I didn't notice that thing on the table when I first saw it? Or is that really Chantal Akerman looking at us in the bed by the window, etc. And oh my goodness, the pose and the look is different, or the thing that she is doing is different from what I saw her doing just a moment ago at the previous pass of the camera, etc. So it becomes a fun exercise. It's inviting us, the viewer, to engage with the work so directly, so thoroughly. So there's this interactive quality, which is also very much part of the filmmaking attitudes of Chantal Akerman. So La Chambre, it's really great. That's my number 4. And then number 3 is Je tu il elle. Je tu il elle is number 3. This is one of the great Chantal Akerman works. It is so beautiful. It's so intimate. It's so, I think, deep and incredibly filled with a lot of emotion and power and pain and confusion about oneself, and maybe a need to trust oneself. It's a journey film. It's also a film that's very keenly structured. It is a film about the really intimacy and really deep expressions and very honest, truthful expressions of that intimacy and sexuality, and in a way that I think has a feeling of being so direct from the heart of Chantal Akerman. So while also being generally regarded as being it's the first feature film foray in terms of narrative feature film from Chantal Akerman. So in that way, it's also very much a cinematic statement in its own way. My number 3 pick for favorite films from my perspective, it's Je tu il elle. And then my second favorite, number 2, is Les Rendez-vous d'Anna, which is the last film to be found in this set. And I think this is a masterpiece. I mean, they're all masterpieces, but I think this is, for me, my number 2 list here, because it has a confidence. There is a type of mystery. There is a journey about this film. There's also a reckoning with the past, present, and future seemingly all at once. Aurore Clément's performance is one of the great performances ever. It has a way of being enigmatic and almost having a wall between her and us, the viewers, but also we have abilities to glimpse through that opaque sense. And then, and just the subtle nature in which we see her react or not react, as the case may be, to the rendezvous, the meetings that are very much part of the structure of this work, while also being a kind of travelogue film, as I say, past, present, and future, a kind of reckoning, and also reckoning with the past. And by this time, this idea of reckoning with Europe's past in a post-war setting, climate, but also reckoning with the pre-war implications of Europe. It's all here in this densely packed, very rich film. My number 2 favorite film here, which is Les Rendez-vous d'Anna, which means that my number 1 favorite film is a film which is called Jeanne Dielman, 23 Quai du Commerce, 1080 Bruxelles, from 1975. And this is a work that, again, just watch it over and over and over and over again. It just grows in esteem for me. It becomes more entertaining, engaging, more suspenseful. It's like it is a tense film, and in that way, it's so enthralling. It's so entertaining, and you marvel at the structure. You marvel at Jeanne Dielman, who this person is. We think we know who she is, but we don't know who she is at the same time. And that enigmatic nature is itself so fascinating. We are drawn towards her, and yet we are perplexed by some of the choices, perhaps many of the choices. But that makes us even more drawn to the film itself and the proceeding. Thanks in very, very large part to the brilliance of the performance of Delphine Seyrig, and of course the way that things are structured and mapped out. And when things potentially take a turn, wow, watch out. This is, a grand operatic gestures in this wonderful way of ritual and observation. And it's a beautiful film. It's utterly entertaining, so suspenseful. It is, for me, my favorite film by Chantal Akerman in this set. That's Jeanne Dielman, 23 Quai du Commerce, 1080 Bruxelles. So, yes, so that, my dear friends, is my list of my favorites in this set, at least as far as I feel at this very given moment. Of course, my feelings might change if you ask me tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, but that's how I feel now. But my list could be different from yours, so, if it's different, that's okay, that's not a problem. If you have your own favorites, please, of course, let me know. Feel free to share with me anytime in the comment section below. You can reach out to me in that way. But my dear friends, thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope that this video still finds you well. I hope it found you well to begin with, and if so, I hope it still finds you well, and that you continue to watch a lot of great movies. So thank you, and cheers.